Welcome to the Athletic School Podcast. Today's guest is Fabiana Silva, a physiotherapist, professor, and vice president of the Fascia Research Society. She's been doing amazing work helping people understand the role of fascia in movement, recovery, and injury prevention. Fabiana, thanks so much to join me.
Oh, thank you, Igor. Now I'm already the president of the Fascia Research Society.
Look at you, even better, even better. You're more important. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
more work to do, but it's good to trying to translate the research to the practical field, to the practitioner, to the athlete that needs to solve their injuries, their problems, their concerns. So this is really good.
Awesome. I'm glad. So, just to begin with, like I was telling you earlier, a lot of people don't even know what fascia is. For people that never heard that word, well, how could you explain in simple terms what fascia is?
Okay, we have at least two types of fascia. And fascia it's a type of connective tissue, a tissue from our body that connects things like the muscles, the bones, the visceral structures or organs. And when we talk about connection, we can think in a tissue that brings or hold everything together, but at the same time separate things. So fascia does this, and we have more types, but the more common and the people more talk is the superficial fascia tissue that is more connected with the skin, and the deep fascia that is closer to the muscle. So they have different properties, and they have different functions in our body. So for athletes or people that are really active, both types are really important, but we have neural fascia, we have visceral fascia too.
Why is so important, the fascia, especially for athletes? Why is so important? Why should we care about
Yeah, because fascia is related with inflammatory process in our body. So athletes have, not just because the injuries, but because the overuse, for example, have some inflammations through the body. Uh, and it's important because fascia have the deep fascia have a huge importance in our proprioceptive system. That is the system that help us to know with the central nervous system where is the parts of our body. Have a huge importance in the interoceptive system. That is the system that informs time by time what's going on in our body. And so this is interesting for prediction for athletes. And because fascia, the deep fascia, is really important to transmit the force that is generated inside of the muscle. And so it's important for recovery, is important for prevention, and is important for performance.
So if I want to jump higher, for example, if I want to get stronger, uh, so just to make sure I understand, I should be
Mhm.
working on my fascia. I also as working on my muscle. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's difficult to separate muscle and fascia, the body. It's one unity. You can separate. But if you work like with more plyometric exercises, if you work with the recoil of the tissue, passive recoil, you will have a more target fascial exercise. But you are not just working with fascia, you will work with the whole movement system. But sometimes people they don't jump, they don't do this type of plyometric exercise that can be used to put a more specific target on the fascial tissue and at the tendons, because tendon is not fascia but is covered by fascia. So it's why it's important to work linked with the whole system.
Okay. And here in the US, we have a lot of different types of programs where people talk about fascia. I don't know how it is in Brazil yet, but if we could summarize, into three things that every athlete could do, not only to keep their fascia healthy, but also to make the fascia stronger.
Mm-hmm. Health and stronger, it's quite the same for me. Uh, and in my perspective, it's not something necessarily linked just with the movement, because for me, a good pattern of sleep that improves your metabolism, that keeps you clean your body, including fascia, it's really important. The food intake, it's important too, for the same reasons as sleep. And the last one is to modulate stress. Everyone have stress. As one last days, I saw a sentence that said, we have maybe some certain things that can happen in our life, like one day we will die, of course. We will have the bills to pay, of course, and probably we will have like a cuff tear problem, we will have a disc herniation, we will have other things in our body that will be normal with the age, with the advance of the age. And so it's important to think in health in general and keep moving. But it's something tricky here, because if you overuse your body and you don't rest, for example, or you do a lot of workout but you have a high level of stress, this can be a disbalance, and you not have a strong fascia. And when we think in strong fascia, we think in a tissue that can uh, remodulate remodulate itself, because this is a characteristic of the connective tissue, including fascia. When you do a mechanical stimulus, the tissue will respond, trying to change the scenario. But if you do a lot and you pass the line between capacity and demand, it will be not the best scenario. So it's and this is individual. For you, Igor, can be one amount of exercise, the frequency during the week, and etc. For me, another, and so on. So it's good to have this in mind. And I work with patients with chronic pain, and our first main goal is, please choose something to do that you like it, or at least that you don't hate, to try to continue to do the exercise. And it can be, we are now learning that sometimes the exercise don't need to be so specific, thinking on chronic pain, for example, because we are looking for the systemic influence of the exercise, not through the local influence of the exercise.
That makes sense. And I wanted to break it down a little bit. So you said sleep. Um, how many hours? Is it the common hours of 7 to 8, 9 hours?
Yeah, there is a range that is individual, but when a patient came to me and say, okay, I sleep 4 hours per night and I'm okay. No, you are not. You are trying to survive. And so for adults, at least 6 hours.
Okay.
And it's not just the amount of time, but the quality of the sleep. Because we need to pass through the 4 phases of the sleep to get the recovery that we need. And sometimes people, they pass like not so much in the deep sleep phase, that is really really important. And so we need to analyze, discuss with this person. But one type that I can give you to your audience is that if you wake up and you feel that you are tired, that you want to be at at bed, please see if there is something wrong and check this, because it's not okay.
And then the next one, food intake.
Mhm.
Is there some types of food? We're talking, I hear a lot of people talking about hygiene, so drinking water. What do you see? What's the pattern when it comes to food intake?
Yeah. When we need to think about fascia and connective tissues like a sponge that is really, really full of water, ions, hyaluronic acid, and proteins, and etc. And we need to, of course, drink water, but to change the water inside of the tissue, we need compression and decompression. And so what type of thing gives to us compression and decompression of this sponge? The movement. So if the person takes 2-3 liters of water a day, but stay at the couch, at the sofa, the sponge will not change the content. So it's interesting to put these two things together: water intake and compression and decompression movement. And so it's will give to us the capacity, the fascia capacity to change the fluids, and to have a more healthy environment for ourselves. And food, well, we know what is good, what is not good for us. And nowadays we are talking about inflammatory food, the pro-inflammatory food, the processed food, and etc. So try to eat health as much as you can, how much as you can. But again, if you sleep, I do good choice, etc., etc., but you have a lot of stress, you didn't sleep well, and etc., it will be a just one puzzle, or just one piece at this puzzle, and maybe you have issues too.
And when it comes to stress, what are your thoughts on stress? You mentioned about maybe something that you like, or maybe something that you don't hate. But is it maybe handling the stress better in terms of doing some meditation or sleeping more? What are some things that people can do in order to handle the stress? Because nowadays we live in a stressful, everyone has stress in their lives, right? So I think it's about how we handle that. So what are your thoughts on handling stress?
And Igor, something really, really interesting about stress is that stress is protective. Because if you have a threat in your life, you will be stressful, and this will be putting your system in alert, and you do something to protect yourself, or you will run, or you will fight, for example. And the same thing occurs about pain. And so sometimes people say, oh, pain, it's terrible, and etc. But the main goal of pain in our body is protection. And so about stress, we need to try to modulate and think like improving your parasympathetic nervous system functioning, like go outside, talk with friends, do things in with a person that you like it, read a book, sing a song, or etc. Sometimes it's not so complicated to do. It's and usually are things that are easy and not expensive. But the main goal is that you have to look to yourself and detect that you are not okay, or that you are doing too much, or that you are doing things in a automatic mode, like doing. And for some people, just deep breath, 5 minutes meditation. It's okay, it will works, but again, it's something that it's individual. People need to find what they do that improve their healthy and their lifestyle, their life, and their mood.
We kind of talked about it a little bit yet, but what would you say are the three main things that people should not do in order to keep a healthy fascia?
um Avoid movement, and we have a lot of people that have chronic pain that have fear avoidance, because we have in our brain the areas related to pain are related to fear too. And so this is quite tricky, and people avoid movement, and this can be really bad. The other thing is don't sleep, because it will be, and we have a bidirectional relation between bad patterns or bad sleep and improve of pain. If you don't sleep well, you will probably have more pain than other people. And the third one, probably, let me think. I think that is stress too, because there is something interesting, that the cells from fascia, the fibroblasts, they have a receptors. So you have a molecule and a receptor, and so the fascial cells have a receptor, true, and linked here, and they have a endocannabinoid receptors. So we have a system that can, by themselves, by made by us, that can regulate a lot of process in our body: pain, autonomic nervous system, etc. But when you are with too much stress, you activate the sympathetic nervous system, you activate these fibroblasts, these cells, to turn in another type of cells called myofibroblast. That is a cell that contracts the tissue. So you will have more stiffness in your tissue and to do movements. So you have a lack of performance because you have more stiffness. And this mechanism it stimulates the cells from the immune system. So you will be more open to develop a autoimmune disease. And this can influence the fascia too. So, yeah, it's not so simple.
Yeah, it's not simple. And I think the next question might be hard to answer. For the people that are listening and they want to start taking care of their fascia, what are
Mhm.
some things that they can be doing? Like, okay, I listen to the podcast, let me go do it. I see a lot nowadays people using the foam roller. There's even
Mhm.
like some exercise with their feet sometimes to work out those muscles on the feet. Are those things that they can do? Is there anything else?
They can do this because the rolls, the balls, the use of the balls, etc. They are good. They work in the compression decompression mechanism of the body, but their results are short. So it's why important to link these activities with the exercise. So like a pre-exercise activity, like using this for recovery. You can use stretch, of course, but we think in stretch related to fascia in a long time, maintaining for a long period, like a 3-5 minutes, the stretching position, because the main goal with stretch in related to fascia is to work with the inflammatory process that we have in our body. So because we can't change the fascial structure, it's not easy. It's more real. This is more real, more true for the deep fascia. And so stretch is good because influences your autonomic nervous system, and it's better if you do like a chain with a whole body stretch from using like a 3, 5, 10 minutes positions. Another thing that people can do is active respiratory exercise, like deep and slow respiratory inhale and exhale during 5 minutes. And the literature shows that we improve our parasympathetic nervous system, that helps us to recover, modulate our mood, modulate our immune system too.
In the beginning, we talked a little bit about movement, how we were talking about chronic diseases and pain. Sometimes it's not that specific parts that you should focus on and more the body as a whole. Is lifting weights a bad thing for the fascia, or should we like try to move our body as a connected type of thing? What do you think about
Um, it's not bad. What we know is that when you do muscle contraction, you improve the stiffness of the fascia. And for example, for people that have instability, this is really good because you have more stability. Not just because the muscle, but because you will cause a change or a reorganization in the connective tissue. But it's something that you need to maintain. Keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. With when we are older, we lost the muscle sarcomeres, we lost muscle. It's a sarcopenic process. And if you don't train your muscles and fascia, the fat tissue will occupy the space of the muscles that you lost. So this is not good. This is not good for you because you don't need fat cells inside your muscle, and we prefer having muscle. So you need to keep moving and training. And to change the structure of the muscle, you need to improve the heavy load that you are training. You need to improve the loads. And if you are training, I'm doing my workout from 6 months with the same eight, 1 kilo, 2 kilos, or etc. No, you need to always improving and always changing your type of workout to have better results, because the you are losing with the pass of the time. You are losing every day, every month, and you need to keep trying to maintain. And for this, of course, it's not just the training. Again, the sleep pattern, the intake of protein, etc. And when you look for the bodybuildings, for example, they training really hard. They train it really hard, their muscles, and they have their fascia really with a lot of stiffness. So it's difficult for them to have flexibility. So they lose flexibility. And so but we are talking about athletes, people that have their goal is that one. For us, the normal people, try to keep the balance between mobility and stability. And training the muscles is really important. And when you train your muscle, you are putting heavy load to your fascia too. And this is good. You just need to maintain the level that is okay for you.
What would you say is the biggest myth people believe about friendship?
Yeah, there is some, but for me the worst is that when we talk about myofascial release, people usually thinking that to release the fascia, you need to cause pain. Needs to be something really hard, really strong. And this is a myth, because it's something that maybe occurs or really occurs in the past, but it's not. Now we know by the science and with the clinical practice, because I'm a clinical physiotherapist. I'm with patients every week, and we know that we don't need to go hard to go deep. First thing, we don't need to go hard to give for the cells, the fibroblasts, the message that they need to work. And so it's like giving to the tissue a mechanical stimulus, and the tissue will respond, but not just the structure, not just the cells, but the nervous system too. And so we work when we have like a fast results, Igor. it's more linked with the change in the nervous system than with the change in the tissue itself. Because let's imagine, for the fibroblast, you give an input and the cells will, mechanical input, I need to do something. The cells need more than 1 hour to start to do one thing. And so if you are working the neck region of your client, and in 10 minutes they are, wow, my neck is better, I'm moving better. This is not related with the change in the tissue necessarily. This is more related with the nervous system. The talk between fascia and the central nervous system. And it's like that the message that you pass it is that this person don't need to be or feel threatening again. Is the first message. And if you go hard, the message is, it's a message of a threatening. And how the body will answer to this threatening? With stress and with the pattern that we discussed previously here. So to recap, you don't need to cause pain to work with fascia, and you don't need to work hard for having results and to change the things that are passing with your client or into your body.
It's very smart.
Yeah, we are not sometimes.
True, true.
Yeah.
Um, if people want to learn more about that subject, is there any books you could recommend? Maybe your social media page? Where can they find you?
Yes, it will be a pleasure. First, I want to recommend Fascia Research Society, Instagram, and we have Facebook website. You can jump into my Instagram too, Fabiana Silva Fisioterapeuta. Is in Portuguese, but we have some things that are translated to English.
Mhm.
There is a lot of options of books in Amazon. One of the best ones is the editor is Professor Robert Schleip, and I organized 2 chapters in this book, so it was an honor for me. And another options are to go to the congresses. And this year we will have a Fascia Research Congress in New Orleans from 10 to 14 in August. And I organize a World Congress of Fascia online that will be in October next year. So I let you know, Igor, I will send it, all the information for you, and I will send the information about New Orleans too. So it will be a pleasure having you and your audience with us, because a congress is an amazing opportunity to learn and do connections, of course.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's something that I'm interested in learning more about it. The goal here is to help people improve their mindset and their performance. And I think these are some of the little things that people are not talking about it, and it's not that little. It's very big, it's very important. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And you can count with me, of course. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.